Well, welcome to another edition of In the Pocket, all thanks to our wonderful sponsors at Palmerbet. And to be honest, as I say, a very good afternoon to Peter Spider Everett. I think the black looks better on me than the white on you, just quietly, big fella. How are you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it matches my hair, the white and the white. Absolutely. So, no, look, I went one better than you this week. I don't know how the boys have been looking at you, but they might be happy with my multis. Just for my water this week.
Yes, mate. Actually, I haven't pulled out the old Palmerbet drink bottle yet. But it's going to come. It is going to come. A great merch pack. They're a great organisation, that is for sure. And as we always say, download that app, get involved, gamble responsibly. They love their sports betting. AFL, NRL, they had the darts last weekend. You name it, they do it. And the World Cup soccer too, the female World Cup soccer. How good is that sport? Just off the top, mate. The Matildas have really kind of, they've engrossed the nation, haven't they? They've kind of brought the nation together.
It is fantastic, but do you feel a little bit guilty because we just did win the Netball World Cup? We just won the females Ashes. Is it like I'm on the bandwagon. I'm like everyone else. I think 7 million people watching a penalty shootout can't go wrong. It's great for the sport, but you kind of sit there and go, gee, there's so many other sports. So the interesting time is absolutely jump on the bandwagon right now. But as soon as they're out, let's see what kind of the TV numbers are. And everyone loves a winner. It's no different to, the Special Ks when, Kyrgios and Kokkinakis were winning an Australian Open. That was amazing and massive as well. So, look, like anything, we all love winners. We're all on the bandwagon. Come on.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it? It's been fantastic. Yeah. Hey, talking about huge, last weekend, round 22, we've got a couple of rounds to go, Spide, and I've got to kick it off. Your Saints, too good for the Tigers, mate. We've just punched it in the back half of the year, but I reckon, mate, I actually reckon your Saints are rebuilding a little bit here. They had a bit of a lull about 5 or 6 weeks ago, but I just sense they're a dangerous little outfit, mate. If they can sneak into that top 8, anything could happen.
Yeah, they're just going to win one more game. But, finally, this is the first time all year that they had Memory and King playing forward. So, that just takes the pressure off, some of the young guys. The young guys are getting the second or third best backman and just gives them a little bit more space. So, and obviously King coming out and kicking a bag too obviously helps. But, Rowan Marsh in the middle, you still got Jack, Steele and Crouch. So they've got a good lineup, defensive good. So they're looking good at the moment. Rossi Lyons trying to keep a lid on it and keep it all under wraps. But look, I reckon they'll hit September in pretty good form. They've just got to win, one of the next two, and they've got a couple of tough games.
What about the Blue Baggers, mate? Plenty against them last weekend with players out and all that kind of stuff. It went down to the wire with that goal. Petrarca from 55, mate. Was it touched? Was it not? Either way, the Blues get the job done. And you'd think now, Spide, they are a lock for September, which is really exciting for Blues fans, especially coming off the back of last year.
You've never seen a bigger comeback from a team. I reckon that's been the best comeback or the best run into a final series you've seen for a long time. Because, they beat West Coast or had a couple of lower games and even the Carlton supporters just after they'd cut up their membership. Now they're trying to sticky tape it all together and glue it all back because then they said, look, we're not going to get excited until we start beating good teams. And they beat Collingwood and Port Adelaide. And now they started believing and now they have all the belief they can get. They've beaten the top teams. They've beaten, if they'd made the finals a month ago, they would have won a premiership. The way they're in, they are just in rip and nick. So can they hold it and sustain it? We'll wait and see. So it's great because we know, what kind of crowds Carlton and Collingwood and these teams, Melbourne, bring with them when they're up and about.
Yeah, and they've still got Sammy Walsh to come back in, possibly Harry Mackay as well. So it's a little bit of watch this space, isn't it? So
do you bring Harry in? They're going good without him.
They are. But how could you not? Another big guy that's freshened up, and it seems to be, I don't know whether you heard this, Bob, but there was a little bit of a bonfire down at the Curno's property in Torquay. And that seems to be the turning point. I think there was a few home truths told down there and over a few beers and a bonfire and a bit of pizza. And
is there any better way to bond over a bonfire, and also a few beers and pizza? That's what you need to bond. They should be doing that every week.
Yeah, I agree, mate, and I think that there's a real belief there now, Carlton, which I think is so important. It's going to be, and it kind of just adds another dimension, I reckon, to this final series, because I don't think they're going to finish in the top 4 for that double chance. But gee whiz, if they can win their first final and then they'll come up against possibly a Melbourne or someone at the G the next week, that would be huge. It'd be a sellout. Should be
who would want to play anyone realistically? The top 4. Going to be gold, but then they're going to be playing either, you're thinking, Sydney, GWS, it could be unpredictable, a Saints outfit. So really the bottom, I think Bulldogs were the last ones to win it outside the top 4. Absolutely a massive possibility. This has been a cracking year so far. The AFL, this has been the biggest, ups and downs throughout a season for a long, long time for the AFL. So whoever make the 8, good luck to them, but it's not going to be any easier.
What about the Sydney Swans, mate? They've come from nowhere too, Spy, but there's just that real belief in that playing group, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, unfortunately, without Buddy, but as you say, the Sydney Swans, that belief that they all they worry about is getting the next win. Get the next win, everything else will take care of itself. 3 weeks ago, they weren't looking at making finals at all. And then they put a couple of wins together. Now they're in the 8, and you sit there, okay, they can absolutely do some damage when they get there, because we know how unpredictable they are, how hard they are, how structured they are, and how, really, last year, massive, smash in the grand final. It would be unbelievable if they come back and won it.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
Remote. It'd be one of the best. It would be, I think, the biggest comeback in 12 months. To come back and get smashed like that and then come back and win it would be huge.
Oh, it'd be massive, right? Especially from the position that they've been in. Hey, Cats continue their topsy-turvy form. They had the Pies on toast for mine, but once again, Collingwood never write them off. They lose Darcy Moore at quarter time effectively. They're nearly their best player in their side. There's no Nick Dacos at the moment, but there's just they just know how to get the job done, don't they? That was a good win on Friday night. High scoring, free flowing affair.
Yeah, it was good to watch. It was good to go. And Nick Dacos, who? Don't worry about Nick. We got Josh.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back at the head of the table. Mum and Dad's serving him roast dinners again. Nick's out on the side. But yeah, look, I think, Geelong really hard to kind of work out where they're at. Jeremy Cameron kicking 7-4 or something. And, just where are all the other forwards? Where are the midfields? Danger was, back to his best in a way of smashing and crashing, but Collingwood getting the job done. And, Geelong's very similar to the Brisbane Lions at the moment. Just not convinced with them. Even Melbourne, just not convinced. Melbourne's got another couple of years, but are they willing to go there? Like, for some reason, even, those 3 teams are probably amongst the most frustrating this year.
I'm with you, mate. And I think frustrating for the coaches as well, from their point of view, because, you just don't know what you're going to get each week. But I think that's what's made the year so good. So, Spide, the top 8 as it sits now, all thanks to Palmerbet, Collingwood on top, Brisbane in second, Port Adelaide and Melbourne make up. So there's 6 points. So a game and a half with 2 games to go. So results have to go Carlton's way to get that double chance. Collingwood are a lock unless they lose their last couple of games by decent margins, and Brisbane win their last couple, and also Port Adelaide. So I think Collingwood are a lock to get that top spot.
I think the top 4 are already going to struggle to get past that top 4.
I think
they're all a lock. Where they all finish, Melbourne could change with Port Adelaide, but there's not going to be much change.
Well, the Brisbane and Port, it's only 12% separating those 2 teams. So that's going to be the interest, because Port Adelaide turn around, they get a home final first week. Brisbane travel over to Adelaide to play them. Vice versa, they're going up to Brisbane. So there's a fair bit at stake for those 2 teams. Then you've got Carlton, St Kilda, Sydney, Western Bulldogs. Spide, do you think that changes? And just outside, we've got Essendon, Giants, Geelong, which are another half a game behind. And I think the Crows, after losing narrowly last weekend at Brisbane, I think that's virtually, they're still in there.
The only one I can see making it is GWS.
Yep.
GWS, I think, are the only side outside the 8 that can actually make it.
Right. So because this weekend, Geelong play St Kilda. So Saturday night. So that is a massive game effectively, because if the Cats lose, that is season over. On the flip side, if they win, they are going to be thinking, hang on. And on the flip side, the Saints all of a sudden are going to be under a little bit of pressure just to stay in. Yeah,
Saints win, they stay in, obviously. GWS is the team I'm looking at. They're the ones that could make the upset. You know, they've got the Bombers this weekend. So you'd think
they got
they'd
Carlton,
actually go.
Carlton
and then
the
they got Carlton.
Yeah.
Which will be. But Carlton's been up for a long time, so you never know. It's such a close. The Saints got 2 hard games.
They played Brisbane at Brisbane in the final game in the final round. So they realistically want to get the win this weekend, and then she's done. They can get the monkey off the back, I reckon, effectively.
So, but then the Western Bulldogs, you saw them over the weekend. The Hawks are on fire. It doesn't matter who the Hawks play at the moment; they're on fire. So, I think it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, and I think the AFL couldn't have asked for anything better because every game this week and next week, aligns for something.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely magnificent, mate. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait for the next couple of weeks. There's so much to play out. Hey, let's have a look at this week's round of matches. I'm just going to bring up. This is how easy it is on the Palmer bet.
Why don't you bring up the Brownlow?
That's what I'm bringing up first.
There's 2 I like. Is the Coleman and the Brownlow. The Coleman's so close because we know that it's only Tex Walker or it's Curnow. Yep. And both there's 4 or 5 goals in it, but the big one is the fact that Big Tex is playing West Coast Eagles in the last game.
Feed him. They will feed him all day, won't they? That's what's going to happen. Yeah.
And I think they'll kick 3 each this weekend, so it's going to be huge.
So $2.75 for Big Tex, Charlie Curnow $1.35. Then we go out to Nick Larkin at $151 and Toby Green at $2.50. So that is the market. I'm just going to bring up the actual ladder, the leader in the goal kicking.
That's
what's the difference? It's 70 goals, so it's 5 goals up.
Yeah.
All right. So effectively, Tex has got to, I reckon Tex has got to pull 1 or 2 back this week, hoping that Charlie has a quietish night. He kicks a bag.
If he's in within 4,
massive chance.
Absolutely. Even 5. You'd say anything under 5 goals.
Yep.
Because as you said, Carlton's got the Saints. Saints got some good defenders.
Yep.
And Adelaide versus West Coast. And West Coast, their mind will be on Mad Monday. It is now.
I think it's been on it for about 10 weeks, to be honest.
And when you're 24 hours out from it, it's even going to be closer. So, for me, I just can't. It's going to be a cracker. That last round for the Coleman. The Brownlow's track is the best one. The Brownlow, as soon as Nick got injured.
This has been turned on its head. I must admit, I hadn't looked at this market for a couple of weeks, Bob, but you're all over it. So Bonham Pally, all of a sudden, is our favourite at $2.50. I reckon he was about $2, even money, Dacos, before he got injured.
Dacos is in dollars, $1.75 at best.
Well, he's $3 now. So if you like him, you think he's done enough, $3 is probably a luxury. Christian Petrarca has been absolutely smashed. His last couple of weeks have been enormous. He's at $3.75. Zach Butters, $13. Jordan Dawson, 21. Lockie Neal, 26. Connor Rosey, 26. I know you're keen on Connor Rosey.
He's my man. I reckon he's still getting a lot of 2s. And, between him and, there's a couple of others, Butters but it is like Petrarca has had some good games. Like the Bont needed a best on the weekend. He needs one more best on, and you'd think the Bont could win his first Brownlow. But as you say, Dacos had a really good patch there of 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
done enough?
Easy 24. Has he done enough? Can he hold on with 24 votes? And I think a lot of people will be just really looking at the Bont, Petrarca, and for me, Rosie, but those ones with even Zach Butters. Zach Butters is him and Rosie for Port Adelaide have been their standouts. So I think, I'd be having a couple of bucks on those for sure.
I reckon the one I'd add a little bit of a price, something a real blowout is Toby Green at $41. Spidey's just had a great year, and whenever they've won games, he's been a pivotal player in that.
Well, he's been the difference.
He has. So I reckon I'm going to play around that and try and fleece the boys at Palmer Bet as best as I possibly can. Hey, let's have a look at this weekend's round of matches,
here
mate.
we go.
And we are getting into the nitty-gritty. Make no mistake about it. It is round 23. So we've got a couple to go, and it all starts off Friday night. It's the Collingwood Football Club take on the Brisbane Lions. These two teams generally have absolutely cracking contests. It's at Marvel Stadium too, which is a little bit different. Weird. So I don't know what's going on there, and the Pies supporters don't like travelling to Marvel very often, so it is interesting. So the Palmer Bet market has the Pies favourites at $1.69, Brisbane Lions at $2.18. The form line here, obviously a great win last week by the Pies, and the line's looking for 3 on the trot, but they've just had such a topsy-turvy year. And that travel factor to Melbourne, I know it's not the MCG spot, but do you think they can take it up to the Pies on Friday night? It's a psychological battle, this one, isn't it? Because it's more than likely these two teams might meet in September.
Yeah, you'd think they would. And yeah, it is absolutely. And it's a tough one. Collingwood's got a couple of big injuries, but when they did get those injuries, and it'd be interesting because even Goey got injured, he come back on. But it just restructures Collingwood's whole formula. And then, they just played it out. They played great footy. It was actually, because you thought they were going to lose at halftime. You thought, oh, no, they pegged back halfway through the second. You think, oh, this is on here. And Brisbane, we just can't get a vibe on. But at Marvel, it makes it totally different. Great, it's under the roof because we don't know what the conditions will be like in Melbourne. That was probably their thinking at the time. But, yeah, I'm going to stick with Collingwood. I reckon the way they were able to run and harass and, just get the job done last week under all duress against the Cats, I thought that was a huge effort. So, for me, I'm taking the Pies.
I reckon Collingwood's running power, and the word was, and I think we mentioned it last week, they had a really strong couple of weeks training block. You can see the confidence in that second half against Geelong. I reckon they just know they've done the work, and they were all over him in that second half. I love watching teams like that when they're up and about. The pressure, it's enormous.
Oh, absolutely. There's no better. When you see one of the top teams, and this is what I liked about last year's grand final, and a lot of people didn't like it, but Geelong playing their best game of footy on the biggest day of the year. I loved it because it was just great to watch, just the way they played. And Collingwood was exactly the same last Friday night.
Right, let's turn our attention to Saturday afternoon footy. It is the Tigers taking on the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Spot. I reckon 17 losses in a row for the Kangaroos. The Tigers have lost their last 3. All thanks to Palmerbet. The odds here, the Tigers, $1.27 Spied. Fair dinkum. I nearly spewed up when I saw that. It is too short for mine. North Melbourne, $3.80. They lose by 9 points to the Bombers last week, the Kangas. Ben Cunnington, what a star. I know they're up and about a bit for him, but they haven't been that bad, and generally they do play well against Richmond, mate. I must admit, I'm a little bit concerned because I reckon the Tigers are out of gas at the moment. I'm worried about these next couple of weeks for the Tigers.
I wouldn't be worried about this week with Jack Riewoldt retiring. I think they'll turn it on. I think Jack's been such a great servant, been a great leader of that footy club. He's worn his the passion on his sleeve. The great thing about the Tigers full forwards, they do, don't they? You think of Richo in the days of Richo, and he was yelling and screaming, and Jack's the same. If you don't kick it to them, they can blow up. So look, I think I reckon they'll turn it on. Richmond will have no dramas here. I'm
not as confident as you, big fella, to be honest. But
this is Richmond will do them easy. I know North Melbourne have been pretty competitive, but the Tigers will get up for this one. They've got so many good leaders at that footy club, and it's such a great history together that I reckon most of them will stand up and deliver something this weekend.
All right, next game, it is the Carlton Football Club and the Gold Coast Suns up at Heritage Bank Stadium. 2:10 Saturday afternoon. Our odds, all thanks to Palmerbet. Gold Coast at 2.44 Spied. Carlton at $1.56. They're going for 9 on the trot. The Blue Baggers, they are absolutely flying. On the flip side, the Suns have lost their last couple. You're heading along to this one, firstly, Spied. And this is the kind of game the Suns will go well in. They always generally pull one out every 3 or 4 weeks. They do. They play well. I wouldn't be look, I've chosen Carlton. I just think because of the shape they're in, the form they're in good nick. Harry Mackay, we don't know if he's coming back, but there's a lot riding on this for Carlton, and the Suns at home will be a tough game for them because they are a much better team. But I think as an outfit at the moment, Carlton has just got that confidence. Unfortunately for the Suns, they're still just lacking that drive and that power and that consistent 4-quarter effort. They played 3 quarters, they lost it in the third. So, they're always after that 4-quarter effort, but, Carlton will give that. So, I'm going to go along and have a look. It should be the last home game too for the Suns. So, might as well go and enjoy it Saturday afternoon, 27 degrees. I can't blame it. Mate, you'll have the singlet on, the tat out, big fella.
Absolutely.
Hey, and it looks like Looks like they got their coach too, mate, by the sounds of it. You hear they're going to announce Hardwick in the next week or so, which will be pretty exciting. And there'll be plenty of buzz up there. It'll be good, just what the club needs, I reckon.
Well, they need it. They need that. They need the buzz. And they need to name him soon, because in 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of decisions made around a lot of players around that football club. So the coach needs to be in place. They need to start making those decisions. And on the back of, great to see, Dimmer being signed for the Suns. It's good to see Port Adelaide committing to Hinkley too with an extension, which is always good, because, he's been under a lot of scrutiny since round 5 about what's going to happen and was he going to leave. But, they have another year at Port. I think he absolutely deserves it.
Hey, Saturday afternoon at Giants Stadium, it's the Giants taking on Essendon. Massive game, because Giants got to win, and so do the Bombers if they want to play finals. Now, the Bombers are looking for 3 on the bounce. Giants are they're going for 3 losses on the bounce. Last time these two sides met, it was back Easter weekend at Marvel Stadium. Cracking game, 13-point victory to the Bombers. Odds all thanks to Palmerbet. Giants are our faves on the home deck at $1.35. Essendon at $3.25. What do you reckon, Spide?
Oh, look, I'm going to stick with GWS. The Bombers have had a pretty good year, as you say. Like, really, at the start of the year, they've faded a little bit, but they're capable of getting a couple of good wins. But GWS really need to win this, and I think they will. I think they've got the ability. This keeps them in the finals. This is what they're going. They just have to win. So it doesn't matter what happens this weekend. I think you'll see it all out on the park for a lot of clubs, and there's a couple more coming up. But GWS will bounce back. So yeah, I'll be sticking to GWS.
Yeah, it's going to be a belter, that is for sure. And so's this one, Saturday night, Marvel Stadium, Saints v the Cats, 6th v 11th on the ladder. This is going to be an absolute epic encounter. And I reckon 18 out of the 23 rounds this year, Spy, the Saints have been the underdogs, which has been amazing because they've had a really good year. And they're the underdogs again here against the Cats. $2.21, Geelong $1.67. Does that surprise you, Spy? Look, and we've spoken about this a little bit throughout the year, but it's like no one really takes the Saints seriously. And I reckon Ross Lyon alluded to that in his press conference after last week's win.
Yeah, but even the fans sit there, like some of the Tigers fans, you still sit there and Carlton's fans 7 weeks ago, you want to believe and you want to hope, and you just sit at every moment just going, gee, like we can beat the Cats, but can we beat the Cats? Happen? Yeah. Are we going to be able to beat the Cats? It's just that, and for me, I'm going to back the Saints. I reckon they can. They've got to really start to get that belief, and that I think within the walls they've got that belief. It's just trying to get that stigma out into the public. So I reckon they've got a belief in closed doors. And I reckon, with Rossi Lyon and that at the helm, he totally believes as well. So I reckon, they've got players in there like that, as we mentioned, King and Membry already, but, they've just got such a good lineup now. They've got a really good defensive back. They run hard enough forward. Their pressure around the footy is fantastic. So I reckon they can beat the Cats. And the Cats aren't in great form either. So the Cats have been far from convincing. You get on top of danger, and when you're relying on Jeremy Cameron to kick 7, that's when it's starting to really weigh up. So for me, I reckon the Saints are absolutely take the $2 all day.
Right, another belter, Spide. This is unbelievable. Adelaide Crows take on the Sydney Swans Saturday night, 7:40 at the Adelaide Oval. Head-to-head, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Crows, $1.55. Sydney, $2.46. Now, that to me is absolute value. Swans have won their last 5 on the bounce. Adelaide have gone loss, win, win, loss, loss. Obviously, a good effort last week against the Brisbane Lions. But how the hell this market? I must admit, I thought it'd be a hell of a lot tighter than this, mate.
Yeah, so do I. And when you read it, that really surprised me as well, because I picked Adelaide. I picked Adelaide because they're at home, but I wouldn't pick them at that price.
Nah, $1.90, $1.95, toss of the coin. Yeah,
absolutely toss of the coin. Sydney have been in good form. They've won the last 5, and as you say, they're just ticking them off. They're just getting the job done. They know what they need to do, and they've been able to do it. And you look at all the different players in Sydney, and they've just got a really good. But the one that gets me is Errol. They tagged him last week. He only had 7 possessions against the Suns until half time. Then didn't tag him until half time, and he carved them up. So bring back the tagger, absolutely. But for me, Adelaide's got enough nous around their home ground. And, we've mentioned it a couple of times, the fact that 2 weeks left, Adelaide need to get something out of the season. They were destined for finals 6 weeks ago. They just haven't got there. But, they are still a very, very good side. Isaac Rankin's really hurt them as that small forward, but they should still have enough pressure. So, for me, I'm just going to take Adelaide at home.
Righto. Let's turn our attention now, Spide, to our next game, which is the Western Bulldogs taking on the West Coast Eagles. Sunday, of course, at 1:10 p.m. It's at Marvel Stadium. The Bulldogs love playing there. Head-to-head market's $1.02 for the Bulldogs. West Coast at $15, Spide. And you would imagine the Bulldogs, I reckon they're going to try and feed Bontempelli all day and try and get him a 3-vote game in the Brownlow medal. To be honest, they were deplorable last week, the West Coast Eagles. They've got 2 more weeks to go, as you touched on earlier, mate. But the Bulldogs in the last 5 have gone loss, win, loss, win, loss. So they're really inconsistent. And these two sides haven't met for over 12 months. 28th of May, 2022, and the Bulldogs won by 101 points that long ago, Spike.
Well, so, know what? Some things might not change in 12 months, I reckon. The only big news here is Libba. If Libba comes back, he was subbed out, injured during the week, and I think he's one of the most underrated players. I know that, we don't underrate him, but, when you're talking about the Bont and you've got Waitman and, Hugo Hagen and these blokes, he goes under the radar a little bit. But the Dogs, for me, they'll bounce back. I'm always nervous about tipping a team to win by the line when the line's at 60, 70 points. But, it's only 2 goals a quarter, 2.5 goals a quarter. So I think the Dogs will get the job done pretty easy.
Next game, it's the Demons taking on the Hawks, looking for 3 on the trot too, Hawthorn. Demons that narrow loss last week against the Blues. Demons are our favourites, all thanks to Palmerbet, $1.26. Hawthorn at $3.90. Now, as I said, Hawthorn looking for 3 on the trot. Melbourne were in really good nick before that. They won some really close games. These two sides, last time they met was back at the 13th of May this year in round number 9. It was a 54-point victory that day to the Melbourne Demons. What are we thinking here, Spide? Closer?
Well, it's hard to say that's going to happen again. You kind of believe it should, because where they both sit on the ladder and you look at the structures of the team and the amount of experience Melbourne's got and, what Hawthorn's been able to do after the last fortnight. If I was any punter out there, as soon as the grand final day is over and they put up the futures for next year, just absolutely load up on Hawthorn making the 8.
Yeah.
Because they have been unbelievable. You had a couple of other players in there and you'd think they'd be right around that money to make the 8 next year if they continue the way they've been able to do. So, look, danger game for Melbourne. It's not going to really upset them too much in the space of things of where they're going to finish on the ladder. But, you still want to beat these teams and, they're coming off, Hawthorn's coming off 2 cracking wins. I still reckon I'm going to back Melbourne. Oliver back, and I know he just needs another game or 2, and Petrarca right up in there at Brownlow, but they just need to find a little bit of consistent form, Melbourne. So I'm going to stick with Melbourne.
Righto. Final game of the round. It's Fremantle taking on Port Adelaide, Optus Stadium, 4:40 p.m. The market, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Dockers coming off the back of an absolute sensational performance last week. They're at $2.44. Port Adelaide at $1.56. Now, the Power arrested that 4-game loss rate last week with a good victory against the Giants. Dockers were enormous last week. They're going to be up and about. Last time these two sides met was 13 months ago, Spide. Fremantle won by 9 points.
I reckon it'll be pretty close again.
I do too, mate. I reckon this could be the upset of the round. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. The way Freo played last week and the way they play Perth Optus Stadium as well we know they're going to run. We know the ability to get on the outside and use the ball and just absolutely run. But Port Adelaide's got their favourites too. Don't worry, Port Adelaide's got a very good side. They've got 2 players at the moment in the top 5 for the Brownlow with Rosie and Butters. So they've got enough around there. I'm going to stick with Port Adelaide. I reckon it'll be a really tough ask for them over there as well. But I reckon, like you, it'll be within that 10 points either way. It should be a cracking game. And I've said it all year. I have absolutely loved the Sunday afternoon games. Normally, we don't care about them. They're finished. We're done. But there's been some absolute doozies over the year. And this is going to be no different. I'll be getting a seat. And out of all the Sunday games, that's probably my pick.
Yeah, love it. Love it, big fella. Hey, listen, talking about your picks, mate.
Rightio.
I need your pick 9. How did we fare last week? What do we end up with, Spida?
I had 5 out of 9.
5 out of 9. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's getting tough. It's a tough time of the year, mate.
It's a tough year, but I'll get one. Next 2 weeks, I'll get the 9 out of 9.
Home at the line. Obviously, line.
This is who I'm going for.
Down. Yeah, they let you down, mate. They let you down. And the captain consistency right now, Hugo Hagen, Papley, Schultz, and Van Ruin at the Demons. I think that was. They all had chances. They all had.
No, Hugo Hagen kicked 2. Tom Papley kicked 1 goal 1.
Yeah.
Schultz. He
ticked. Yeah, he kicked
5, and Van Rooyen kicked 0 goals 2.
Yeah.
So if you decide to kick straight.
Yeah, you're around the mix. So what? Let's go to the pick 9 first, mate. And this is how easy it is. Just download that app and get involved. Palmer Bet. Go for it, big fella.
All rightio. Well, I'm taking the Pies. Take the Pies into Richmond.
Ooh, yep.
Into Carlton against the Suns.
Yeah.
GWS to bounce back. The Saints will get their lock into the finals. Adelaide at home. The Doggies to bounce back with a bont.
Yeah.
Melbourne will get the win in their danger game against the Hawks, and Port Adelaide to bring home the Sunday afternoon classic.
Gee whiz, you could be sitting on that, mate. $33.97, so virtually $34 for the pick 9, mate. That's good value. That is real good value. And you can change a couple of them around if you want to just mix it up a little bit. There's a couple you're kind of swinging on. Right, what else you got for us, big fella?
Well, this is shut the gate on the 8.
Love it. Love it.
Rightio, time to shut the gate on the 8. I'm taking the Saints.
Yep.
The Dogs.
Yep.
And GWS.
Right. And Carlton? You thinking Carlton too there to chuck them in?
Yeah. And Carlton.
Right. So shut the gate on the 8. Those 4 teams all just to win at the line. That's going to get you $13.03, mate. I like your thought process there, Spide. Hey, and come on, give us something for the goal kickers, mate. You love your multiple goal kickers.
Well, you know what? And we talked about, the final 8's there. The Brownlow's not far away. The Coleman medal, absolutely. And I reckon the four will shine. So the Coleman top 4, it's time to shine. So I reckon Curnow, 3+.
Yep.
You'll have Walker, he'll kick his 3+. You'll have Larky, he'll kick his 3+. Oh. And Toby Green will kick his 3+. They're the 4 leading goal kickers.
Three goals plus each.
3 goals each.
Love it. That's going to get you $5.49, big fella. Well, there thanks to Palmer Bet.
And if you want to chuck Larky or Curnow or one of those in to kick 4 or 5, but I reckon Larky's probably the one who'll kick the most. Him and maybe Walker will kick a couple.
Against the Tigers, mate. Settle down, big fella. Hey, download that Palmer Bet app. It is really simple. And as we always say, please gamble in a responsible manner and always think about what you are really gambling with. Spider, it is round 23, mate. We've only got one more to go after this, big fella. It is really getting down to the crux of the season. Looking forward to it, mate. And I'm looking forward to catching you once again after this weekend's round of matches, big fella. You have a wonderful weekend, buddy.
Absolutely. And I know that we've got some great things coming towards the finals too. So not only do we have to get to the end of the season, look out because some cracking things, thanks to Palmer Bet, coming your way during the finals. It's going to be huge.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.